So let me log in again. So going to figma.com, you'll be greeted with this, and the next thing we'll do, let's log in as I've actually registered in the previous video. So I want to continue with Google because I've already logged in to my Google account here. I click one of my links, that is my Google account, then we are in. Okay, so this is the very first thing you are going to see. Alright, once you log in, every time you log in again and again, this is where you land, because this is where all your files and your teams and everything is going to show. But what are we looking at for the first time? We are looking at here, this is new design file. Anytime you want to create a new design, you go there and create a new design within a team. Or now this one is new Figma file. This particular one is when you are in a team and you want to like draw flow charts and all of that together with your team. Probably all of you are online at the same time talking about what to do, just putting your ideas together. All right, this one, import files. Let's say I've sent you a Figma file now and I tell you to work on it. Then this is where you click, you just import it in there, and I believe we'll be using that very soon. So now on your own Figma file, if you come down to team, there's going to be a team here. That is the name of the team you gave when you actually first registered. I deleted it here before I logged in again. So anytime you are creating a team, you can just click here, create a team. Let's create a team. What is the name of our team? Let's say we are all students. Then we select create teams. Okay, now here we can now input all the emails of everybody who is to be included in the files. That is the design team. Now it could be your clients, it could be your developers, all of them. Then you add them there. But for now I'm going to skip because I'm not working with a team. I want to work alone. And after creating that, what do you see here? You can see professional. Maybe you have to upgrade or pay or whatever. You don't need that for now. Let's click choose starter. But for this choose starter, you can use it for free till anytime you want. You decide to upgrade. But the thing is, you only have 3 files, 3 pages and 1 project. 3 files, 3 pages and 1 project. But I will show you what it is anyways. So let's click choose starter, right? Excuse me. Now we've created a team, and the name of the project we are working together on is team project now. So I can just come here, right click on it and rename that project. So our project now, let's call it maybe first project together, right? So that is the name of our project. If I click on that project now, you can see we have no file. These ones are the ones that came these ones are the ones that actually came with Figma, you know, Figma Jam, brainstorming and all of that. You don't even need all of those for now. So here now we can now say what we want to create a new file. We've selected our project. Now let's create a new design. I clicked on that. Now this is where you will be having all of your designs. This is like the canvas for your for your design. So what are we looking at? Let me quickly brush through what we are looking at here. Now here to the to the left hand corner, we have the main menu. You can go back to the previous page, that is, and you can come here, file, normal computer stuff, file, new design file, new Figma, new Figjam and all of that, edit and all of that. Here you can have plugins. Here arrange, I will show you all of this because we've not created anything yet, so everything is grayed out and we are not able to select or change anything there. So text, all of that. So that is actually like your menu, your main menu. All right, now what are we looking at the bar, at the top bar here? This one is already selected. V, that is move. Whatever you want to move on the screen, maybe you have a rectangle, you want to move it, you use this one, you make sure it is there. Then scale, maybe you want to increase the size of a thing or maybe an image, you use this scale. So these are just the toolbars. So what I will talk about here, this one is frame. your frame is more or less like the main thing you want to design. Is it going to be for desktop? Is it going to be for phone, or is it going to be anything? That is, let me click on it and you see what I'm talking about. Once I click on it, you check this right hand side here, you see that I have iPhone 14, iPhone 14 Pro Max, iPhone 13 Pro Max. So if you want to design for any one of them, you just select, and then we have presentations. If you want to design for those smart watches and all these devices, if you want to design on paper, if you want to design on social media, for Figma community, so everything is already set there. So all you need to do is just to come and click on this, and then maybe phone, and what again, let's choose 14 Pro Max. I know you would like to select 14 Pro Max. Okay, so can you see the frame is here already? So anything I'm going to design, maybe the login page on the phone, or maybe the social media page, profile page on the phone, is going to be in this particular frame. So the frame for this one now is 14 Pro Max frame. I can actually rename it if I come here to double click on it and say profile page, something like that. You see that? So it is already renamed here as well as profile page. So I can create another frame for login. In fact, I can still click on it and come here and say click on 14 Pro Max. Can you see the second one came in? Let me just move it up and then double click on it and say maybe this is the profile, no, not profile, this is the login page. Can you see that? Let me quickly check if this thing is recording, and we are still recording. Okay, so that is one thing the frame will do. It will give you the actual page, the actual setting of whatever you are looking for. Okay, so the next important one for now is the shape tools. Here we can have rectangles. Let me draw a rectangle and let you see. The next tool after frame, I'm going to show you about the shapes. The shapes are very simple. If you see rectangle, that means you're drawing a rectangle. If you see lines, you're drawing lines. And if you check this right hand side, before I even go to that, let's check this right hand side. Anything you select on Figma, this is where you actually effect the settings. If you want to change the size, anything manually, or give it shadow, or give it effect, or anything, you do it here. So right now nothing is selected. As I mentioned, I can just change the background of the whole canvas. Maybe I like something a little dark like that, and then let me select a frame. I will select, after clicking on this, I come here to select, let's take a phone 14 Pro Max. Now you see it's looking a little bit smaller than expected. I can just hold my control and scroll my mouse up, and just to zoom out. Okay, so now look at this. Inside this frame, I'm going to name this frame, let's say I double click on there on the name. I can name it profile page. Now in this profile page, let's say you want to design on it, you can still actually change the fill, the stroke and everything here, but we are leaving that. Most of the time you are not going to be changing anything about your frame. So let's talk about tools. Shape tools, we have rectangle. So by the time you have a frame already set, if you want to draw a rectangle, you just just like your regular softwares you use in drawing simple shapes like this. So what about this shape I've created now? With move tool, I can click and drag and place it anywhere I want. I brought the rectangle out of the profile page. So if you click on the profile page and you drop the rectangle in it, you see here it's already within the rectangle. So that is one of the mistakes you are going to be making as a beginner. Like I can't count the number of times I made that mistake, and I'm glad I even make the same mistake now right now. So, and that thing will really worry you, will really mess with the way you think. All right, so now this is a shape tool. By the time you want to design any of the pages, make sure you click on that page me get it selected before you draw. Then you can now come here and maybe draw an ellipse there, so it will automatically fall in within the profile page or the page you're actually designing. So let me talk about this shape a little so that I can use this shape to explain what we see at the right side here. So now we have a rectangle. You see these dots here, this simple little dot within the rectangle. If you click on it, yes, and drag it, it will round off the edges. So you can actually round off the edges as much as you want, or pull it back as much as you want, depending on what your design requires. Okay, so that is a quick way of doing it without coming here. Now, like I told you, anything you select here, the settings will be at the side, at the right hand side here. Anything you click here, the settings will be at the right hand side. So what are we looking at? Let's talk about it. On this design tab, not prototype, design tab, you have to check this. And in fact, it's even easier. Anything you want to know about or you want to know what it does, just put your mouse over it. So if you put your mouse over it, it will show you what it is. Like this says rotation, but let me explain. Now this is to align it left within that frame. If I click on it, you see this thing shifts to the left. If I click align right, it shifts it to the right. So if I click align center, that is vertical center here right now. So you can see this dotted line is telling me that the space to the left and the space to the right is the same. I mean, they are the same. These ones are just for alignment. So if I click this, it will put it at the center of the page, both vertically and horizontally. You can see the line here as it's indicated. So that is what we use this line for. Now let's talk about this X and Y. Most of the time you won't be actually using this X and Y, except you really want to go into fine tweaking. For instance, if I want to move this to somewhere else, I will just click on it and shape it like this and move it around, right? But you can still like nudge it with this X position. X means horizontally, you see that, and Y means vertically. You can use it to shift it like that. I hardly use that anyways. Okay, so the next one is the W and the H. This means width and height. So if I draw a rectangle, sometimes you want to go specific with this. Maybe I want the width to be like 300 width, 300 pixel. You can see that. Then the height, maybe I want it to be 50. I just click and type 50. And can you see that? It changes it. Now when I hover over it, I see 300 by 50. So maybe I need a couple of these. I can just press Control, that's not Control, Alt on my keyboard and then drag. So you can see that once I click on the frame, the settings are gone again. So if I click on any one of it, the settings are back. All right. So this one is about the layer. This layer we're talking about is either you make it 100% see-through, 100% opaque, or 0%. This is talking about the layer itself, the transparency. But the major one we are concerned again about is the fill. Let's talk about the fill. That is the background color of the rectangle you've drawn since it is selected. Let's talk about it. I like something there about sea green or so, something there. Yeah, I like that color. So you see, once you come here, you can actually change the fill of anything, any shape you've drawn. All right, and you can actually reduce the opacity of this color as well. Let me say 30. Can you see that it's faded into the background? Okay, so that is where you have a fill. And let me show you one thing again on this fill. If I click on the color, so on the colors panel, if you look right here, you see solid. If you click on it, you see linear, radial, and angular, diamond, and all of that. You can still use image as the background for that rectangle. For any shape you have, you can still use image as the background. You can use video, that is, video will be playing within that frame. That is so amazing, isn't it? So for linear, radial, and angular, those ones are a kind of gradient. Yes, if I choose linear, can you see it's gradient from this color to white color? So I can actually change it. This it's even transparent, so I can change it to black, right? So it's it's grading from this color to black color. Is that not it? Can you see how it is being mixed here? But we'll talk about that one very soon. Okay, I'm just showing the tools here. Now the next tool, let's talk about ellipse. The same thing as the first shape we talked about. If you click, you see the circle is not even coming together like a perfect circle. Most of the time you want to create a perfect circle, all you need to do is hold the shift down. Once you hold the shift down, you're done. You can place it, use it just exactly as you have done with any of the shape. So the next shape I will talk about is the pen tool. Let me see if there is any other one. Okay, before I talk about the pen tool, we can actually place image or videos. This is where you import your images or videos. Most of the time I'll just drag them in, but if you click on place image or video, it will open a file for you where you can, let me actually put this. You can see I can just click without dragging it. I just clicked. Now this is just an example of one of the UI that was designed, and this is not my work actually. I put this in one of our notes. So as you can see, you can import. If I have imported the video too, this is how it will be, and we can work with that. Let me just delete that for a second. Then what else did I okay, I saw something. Okay, star. This star, I hardly use this star. Now because you click the star, you can actually have more control on and on like that. You can do rounded edges as well. You will see all the settings here, all the settings. And if you have, look at this, five sides, right? Okay, 5 counts. You can do 10 if you want. You can see that. So that's where you create complex shapes and things like that. And what about if the shape you're looking for is not here on the tools? Like, you can actually create shapes just like you have been doing. You can create shapes and then subtract them. You can do whatever with shapes. I'm just trying to demo this for us so that when we start designing our designs, when we start making our design systems, it will be very easy. And this one will make it easier for us to even copy some designs for practice. So now I'm selecting the two, this one and this one. If I click on something like this, use mask, we're not using mask yet, booleans. If I click on it, I can subtract, union, or intersect. So union means it will join the two together as one shape. Subtract means it will subtract A from B. If I click on subtract, actually that's what I want to do. You see, the one above is being subtracted from the one below. So now I have a shape that I wouldn't have been able to create from here. Okay, so who knows, this may be what you're looking for. Now instead of rotating it from here, you see I was talking about this rotation. You can actually rotate it from here and things like that, and still you can have rounded edges from here. But instead of rotating it with this handle, you can just come here. You see my cursor changes once I'm closer to the edge, like that. What's wrong with my mouse? Like that. So if I click on that, I can actually rotate and rotate, and I can see whatever I'm rotating here, the value of the rotation, I can see it here. So that is that. In fact, that is almost everything you'll be doing during the design. And the next one you'll be doing you'll be using a pen tool. You'll be using pen tool maybe to create even more complex shapes. For instance, if I click and drag, I click and all of that. Maybe you want to create a blob, and after clicking I just press enter. Now it becomes a shape. Every property just like this one. For instance, you can change the fill. If I click on it, I can add fill. Just click here, then we'll do what we do, give that red. Can you see? You can see a red outline around it. So let's click on it and change the stroke. I can remove the stroke from here, the stroke, or increase the stroke. Let's increase the stroke for, you see that the border around it, that's what they call the stroke anyways. I can just remove it, and these effects we'll be using them shortly. Effect is maybe you want to add a drop shadow, you want to like blur it, or layer blur. Well, let me blur it 200%. Can you see what it gave me there? It's now blurry. It can create effect behind whatever I'm doing. Okay, so I think that is that about pen tool. Let's talk about text tool. This text tool, you'll be using it like 70% of the time because it's all about text and placement. Now look at that. I just clicked and then I can now type whatever I want. First thing to design. All right, now I clicked out. Once I click out, it will select whatever I've actually typed. Now let's look to the right again. Here, enter. This is where you change the font. Let's click on it, maybe Irish, just for the font of it. And then here you can select your font size, and let's say 60, which I know it will be very big for mobile application, very big for mobile application. So first thing to design, let's change that to maybe 27. Okay, you can see here you change the typeface, you change the font type, the font family, so to say, yeah, font family. And here you change the what? Here you change the font size. Now, talking about paragraph, if I click text and I draw a rectangle like this, so it's expecting me to to put paragraph. So you can see there is something I want to just demonstrate here, like this, the line height. If I increase the line height, you see the distance between the lines are being increased. There are rules for that actually, when you will need to shorten it or when you will need to increase it, but for now we're not talking about that. Here you can separate the letters, and as you can see, it's looking like a magazine or something right now. You see that this is where you actually use your typography skills. So we're all aware about this. This is text align, left, center. You can see it's been centered. It's aligned left, aligned center, aligned right. And let me tell you, alignment is one of the things that you have to pay key attention to during design. Either whichever design you are making, we'll still talk about that very soon. Now you can give it a feel too. You can give it a feel. That is your text color. Okay, so what else? The same thing, you can give it a stroke. Let's add a stroke. You see there is a black line around each letter, so that is the stroke for the letter. I'm going to remove that, it looks horrible. Then effect, the same thing with the effect I did there. You can add drop shadow and increase it. Let's say I'll reduce the blur and increase the opacity like 60. If I click out, you see it has shadow behind it. There might be a reason for you to do that. Okay, so this resources, we'll work on that. This one, hand tool, is for you to pan around in case you're having multiple designs around. You take it just like like this. So for me to zoom like this, I'm holding my control down and the scroll button on my mouse. All right, I think that is all we have to actually talk about. And as you can see, that design will be the arrangement of all these elements of design, like the shapes, the lines, the colors, the tools, and everything. So once we get all this done, we will do what? We will start to design, and then we jump into our design system. You see, I'm always mentioning design system because in UI design, you should not even start designing without having the design system. In case you're having multiple pages, which I believe you are actually going to be having multiple pages if you are working for an app or a whole website or something, you are surely going to have multiple pages. You don't want to start changing colors. Maybe this particular rectangle now, you have like 67 of it or 10 of it around somewhere, and you need to change. You are now told to change the color. You start changing the colors for every one of it. So design system, in a way, you can just set the color somewhere, and once you change that color, it will change for everything. So that is just a little bit about the design system. Okay, so the next thing I will do now is I will do one thing. I will want you people to like recreate it so that we just use it to learn our way around the interface. All right, I will just do one small thing, not a typical design, but you know, once you can be able to replicate it with Figma, then that will tell me, okay, you have been able to at least navigate your way around on Figma. Okay, let's jump into that right now.